March 1943. High above the Mediterranean, a German ace settles into firing position. His wingman closes from the opposite angle. Between them flies a single American pilot in a battered P-40 Warhawk. He has no altitude, no speed, and no escape route. The geometry is perfect. The kill is seconds away. Then the American does something no one has ever seen before. Something no manual teaches. Something that will quietly rewrite the rules of air combat. Spring 1943 is a brutal season for Allied air forces. The Mediterranean theater is bleeding pilots at an alarming rate. German Messerschmitts and Italian Machi fighters dominate the skies over North Africa and Sicily. Their pilots are veterans, hardened over France and Russia, masters of energy tactics and vertical combat. They hunt in coordinated pairs, striking with precision, using altitude and speed like scalpels. American pilots arrive in steady waves. Most come straight from stateside training programs. Their logbooks are full of hours but thin on combat wisdom. They fly the P-40 Warhawk, a tough aircraft, but one already outclassed in climb rate and ceiling. The math is unforgiving. In the opening months of North African operations, Allied fighter losses exceed replacement rates. Squadrons cycle through pilots the way infantry units cycle through riflemen. Inside a P-40 cockpit, the smell is engine oil and sweat. The Mediterranean sun turns the metal shell into an oven. Pilots wear leather jackets not for warmth, but to keep their skin from burning when it touches the frame. The control stick vibrates constantly. 6 feet ahead, the Allison engine roars, pushing heat and fumes back through the firewall. Visibility is poor. The long nose blocks the forward view. Combat becomes a frantic scan of sky and shadow, necks craned, eyes watering from strain and altitude. Doctrine is clear: maintain altitude, never turn with an enemy fighter, use speed to disengage, fight in pairs, protect your wingman. These rules are written in blood, refined over 2 years of European combat. When pilots follow them, survival improves. When they break them, they usually die. But doctrine assumes choice. It assumes pilots can decide when to engage. Over the Mediterranean in early 1943, that luxury rarely exists. Allied fighters escort bombers, transports, and reconnaissance aircraft. They cannot run. They cannot disengage. When German fighters dive from above, the Americans absorb the first blow and hope to survive long enough to scatter the attackers. Most do not. Luftwaffe vertical tactics are devastating. A Messerschmitt dives from 20,000 feet, accelerates past 400 miles per hour, and closes to firing range in seconds. The P-40 pilot sees him too late. Cannon shells walk up the fuselage. Fire blooms. The aircraft tumbles, trailing smoke and debris, and the sky simply moves on. Between missions, pilots sit in the shade of wing roots, speaking in low voices. They trade notes. They sketch diagrams in the sand. They argue about deflection angles and energy states. Some believe better aircraft will save them. Others want more training. A few quietly believe the war in the air is unwinnable with what they have. All of them are exhausted. All of them have watched friends burn, ground crews work through the night, patching bullet holes, replacing shattered canopies, scrubbing blood from seats. They never talk about what they clean. Mechanics develop superstitions. Some refuse to work on planes that have lost 2 pilots. Others draw small symbols or prayers on engine cowlings with grease pencil. Everyone knows the statistics. Everyone pretends they do not. In officers' tents, intelligence summaries tally losses. Charts show kill ratios. Reports recommend tactical adjustments. Commanders send cables requesting better aircraft, more fuel, longer training cycles. The replies are sympathetic and vague. The war is global. Everything is short. The Mediterranean is a secondary front. The pilots adapt because they have no choice. Then a quiet pilot with a Texas drawl and a habit of sketching in notebooks starts asking questions no one else thinks to ask. His name is Lance Wade. Wade is born in a small Texas town, raised on stories of barnstormers and male pilots. He learns to fly as a teenager, trading labor for lessons at a dusty airstrip. He has no money and no connections, only an obsession with flight. He reads everything he can find: aerodynamics textbooks, engine manuals, articles on racing pilots and experimental techniques. Wade is not a natural flyer. He is methodical. He approaches flying like a machinist, approaches a lathe with patience and precision. He does not trust instinct. He trusts numbers. His logbook records not just hours, but wind, temperature, fuel load, aircraft weight. He tracks how each variable affects performance. He learns the edges of an aircraft's envelope, the point where control softens and physics takes over. When war breaks out in Europe, Wade tries to join the U.S. Army Air Corps. He is rejected for poor eyesight. Correctable, but standards are strict. He applies again, rejected again. Then he hears the RAF is recruiting Americans. Britain is desperate. Their standards are lower. Wade volunteers. In late 1940, he sails for England, one of dozens of Americans who will fly for the RAF before the US enters the war. Training is rushed. The RAF needs pilots in cockpits, not classrooms. Wade flies Hurricanes. Then P-40s when American aircraft reach the desert. His squadron is a mix of British, South African, Australian, Rhodesian, and American pilots. They call themselves the Desert Air Force. They are understaffed, outnumbered, and constantly engaged. Wade does not stand out at first. He is quiet and unassuming. He does not tell stories in the mess. After missions, he retreats to his tent and writes notes, not letters. He sketches dogfights from memory, drawing arcs, vectors, and angles. He is trying to understand something most pilots never articulate: the physics beneath air combat. Most pilots think in maneuvers. Wade thinks in energy, potential energy, kinetic energy, the cost of turning, the price of climbing. He realizes doctrine is not wrong, just incomplete. It teaches what to do, but not why. He begins experimenting, adjusting throttle settings, testing turn limits, flying alone, and pushing the aircraft to the edge of stall. His ground crew notices the wear: tires scuffed, paint scraped. The crew chief asks questions. Wade says he is learning the airplane. His squadron leader is strict, a veteran of the Battle of Britain. Discipline matters. Freelancing does not. When Wade asks technical questions in briefings, the answers are short. Doctrine exists for a reason. Pilots who deviate die, but Wade keeps thinking. The P-40 is slower and climbs worse than a Messerschmitt. Doctrine says never turn. Turning bleeds speed. Slow aircraft die, but Wade knows the numbers. At certain speeds, the P-40 can sustain a tighter turning radius, lower wing loading, better low-speed handling. In a flat, violent turn, it might outturn the enemy. Everyone says never try. Wade starts to believe everyone is wrong. Losses continue. By mid-1943, some P-40 squadrons lose half their pilots every 2 months. Veterans stop learning names. Memorials blur together. Tactical experiments fail. Defensive circles collapse. Armor helps, but not enough. Training improves, but combat remains chaos. The doctrine does not change because no one can prove an alternative. Wade cannot stop thinking about energy. He visualizes a maneuver, a brutal descending maximum G turn initiated at the instant of attack. Not to escape, but to reverse geometry, force the attacker to overshoot. It demands perfect timing, trusting the aircraft at the edge of stall, ignoring instinct. There is no safe way to test it. March 1943. Wade escorts a transport over the Mediterranean. 4 P-40s. routine mission. Then the call comes. Bandits high, diving. 2 Messerschmitts. They choose Wade. His wingman breaks, the others scatter. Wade is alone. The Germans split into a vertical pincer. No escape. The leader dives. Tracers flash. 2 seconds. Every instinct screams to dive and run. Wade pulls back instead. Full elevator. The stick slams into his lap. G-forces crush him into the seat. Vision tunnels. The aircraft shudders at stall. The Messerschmitt screams past, unable to turn inside the arc. Overshoot. The second attacker dives. Wade pulls again. Same violence, same edge of control. Another overshoot. Both attackers climb away. Wade lives. He lands, shakes, sketches the fight, and writes one word. Repeatable. The squadron leader calls it luck, orders him not to try again. April 1943. Wade repeats it. May 1943. Others see it. Soon pilots copy it. Losses drop. June 1943. A major engagement. 12 P-40s versus 20 German fighters. Previously, half would die. This time, 9 return. The math speaks. Doctrine changes quietly. By summer 1943, the maneuver spreads across the theatre. Luftwaffe pilots grow cautious. Overshoots replace easy kills. Morale shifts. Wade's tally rises. 13 kills. No lost wingman. January 1944. Wade transfers to a P-47 unit. Weeks later, an engine failure kills him on takeoff. He is 28. No medal, no ceremony. But the maneuver lives. Today, pilots learn it under different names. The physics remain unchanged. Lance Wade is mostly forgotten. But when a pilot pulls hard, sacrifices speed, and survives by turning inside the enemy's attack, his legacy still flies. Some legacies are written in stone, others are written in the physics of survival.